Good morning and happy Friday. Greetings, parents, guardians, family, and friends. Welcome to Newton County Schools Parent Connect virtual series. My name is Shabree Jones, and I am in the Instructional Technology and Media Services Department as one of the instructional technology specialists. Today's session is brought to you by the Curriculum and Instruction Department. The topic for today is Georgia Milestones. What is it? So our featured speakers are Dr. Saeed and Ms. Cole, curriculum specialists here at Newton County Schools. At the end of today's presentation, we will have a short Q&A session. This session is being recorded, and you will have the opportunity to refer back to this presentation using our Parent Connect Canvas page. All right, Dr. Saeed and Ms. Cole, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time and being with us today. We're very excited to have you here, and we're very excited to share information that we feel is important and that you may have questions about. So today we're going to look at Georgia Milestones. How can I help my child? Dr. Saeed will be sharing our screen so that you can, view as we discuss. Again, my name is Kimberly Cole. I am the Secondary Curriculum and Instruction Specialist for ELA. Okay, so Georgia Milestones, how can I help my child? Dr. Saeed, can we go on to the next one? So we always start with the Newton County School System vision and mission statements. Our vision is all students will be well-rounded and prepared for the future. Our mission statement, the mission of the Newton County School System is to provide educational excellence for all students. The agenda, things that we're going to cover today is what is Georgia Milestones, or you may see it as GMAS. Assessment design and item types. We want to show you examples of what your student sees. Achievement level, what does each level mean? We'll go through the dates of administration. We'll also go through what these achievement levels are and where you can access them if you want to look into them further. And then resources for helping your child at home. What is the Georgia Milestones? The Georgia Milestones is a comprehensive summative assessment program spanning from grades 3 through high school. Georgia Milestones measures how well students have learned the knowledge and skills outlined in the state-adopted content standards in language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. The Georgia Milestone measures how well students have mastered the Georgia Standards of Excellence. And those are the standards that our teachers use in the classrooms in the content areas of English, ELA, mathematics, science, and social studies. With the milestones, it's designed to provide students with critical information about their achievement and their readiness for the next level of learning. With the Georgia Milestones, we will also preview with you today the report that you get when your student gets the results from the Georgia Milestones. Sometimes if you're not familiar with education, it can be very difficult, to know what to look for and what all of these numbers mean. Georgia Milestones serves as a key component of the state's accountability system, also referred to as the College and Career Ready Performance Index, or the CCRPI. Students will be asked not only what to answer in the question, but why. So the questions on the Georgia Milestones dig a little bit deeper. There are open-ended items and that ask students to provide both short answer and extended responses. They will have multiple choice questions, which will also be included. Features of the assessment include open-ended constructed response, as it's referred to, items in ELA for all grades. There will be a writing component in ELA, norm reference items in all content areas to provide a national comparison, and then the entire assessment will be online. So what is assessed in the Georgia Milestones for end of grade, which is referred to as EOG? Those grades will be grades 3 through 8, and that will be mathematics 3 through 8, ELA 3 through 8, grades 5 and 8, high school physical science only. So that's grade 8, and social studies will only be grade 8. For high school, we have end of course or EOC. And those end of course tests are for American Lit, Algebra 1, coordinate algebra, biology, and U.S. history. With that, what is assessed? Dr. Sanders?
Yes. What is assessed? Georgia Milestone is administered primarily on the computer. Students are given selected responses, which are also known as multiple choice items. They are given technology enhanced items in all grade levels and courses. They're given open-ended response, which is also known as constructed response, in ELA in all grades and courses. They're also given a writing component in ELA in all grade level and courses within English language arts. They're also issued a Lexile report at the very end to show their performance. So what are we providing? We're providing, this report provide information on how well your students are mastering our standards. It helps with providing information on their own learning to students, provide parents with information on their child's learning, and also help provide information that will assist in improving school and program effectiveness. With the implementation of Georgia Milestone achievement level, there are 4 of them. You have your beginning learners, your developing learners, your proficient learners, and your distinguished learners. And we're getting ready to break each one down for you on the next slide. So as you can see, your beginning learners, they do not yet demonstrate proficiency. They need substantial academic support in order to be grade level ready and college and career ready. Your developing students demonstrate partial proficiency. Students need additional academic support to ensure that they're successful in the next grade level or course and are on the right track for college and career readiness. Proficiency, demonstrate proficiency. That also means that they're prepared for the next grade level or course and are on the right track for college and career readiness. Let's talk about our distinguished learners. They demonstrate advanced proficiency. They are well prepared for the next grade level or course and are well prepared for college and career readiness. So this report, right, is very important to parents. You want to look for the grade level for your student. And what it does is it summarizes the skill and knowledge students must demonstrate to achieve each performance level that I just reviewed. Let's talk about the dates. So the dates displayed on the screen are your elementary school's testing dates. The next dates are the middle school testing dates. And last but definitely not least are your high school testing dates. We want to ensure, parents, we want to ensure that when you are scheduling an appointment, please keep these dates in mind so that we can ensure our students are here and ready for testing. Ms. Cole?
The Georgia I was just talking and I was on mute. I am so sorry. The Georgia Milestone Assessment Design. This is the ELA assessment design, and we wanted to show you what it looks like. In one column, there are the number of items that will be on the test, and then the number of points that are given with those items. So for your 1-point selective response, there are 37 items. For your 2-point technology enhanced items, there are 5 of those. For 2-point constructed response items, they'll have 1. 4-point extended constructed response, they'll have 1. 7-point extended writing response, 1, and then there are 4 field test items. So you can see if you see number of items is 51, then the number of points available is 60. The Georgia Milestone Assessment Design. For each of those that I just talked about, we wanted to give you an example so you could see what it looked like, what your students were actually seeing for that. So for our selective response, it's just a question. They may have a something that they read, and then there'll be questioned on it. So it's just selected response. It's another way of saying multiple choice.
So your technology enhanced questions, this is an example of one of them. They're usually like drop down, drag and drop, and appears this way where the students have these drop down menus and they can select the answer they think is correct. And as you can see from the screen, these type of questions are 2 points. Students can earn 2 points on these questions.
The next is our constructed response example. Of course, these are 2 points as well. The students will read passages, and then once they have finished those passages, they will be asked to explain whether or not the authors of the passages in this particular question support their argument. So the standards are listed, the depth of knowledge is listed, and then that's when the student will begin typing their constructed response. For the extended response, the same thing. You'll notice that the DOK level is higher. Again, the standard that's being covered is listed. It will give your students the prompt, write a story in which you find an animal hiding in nature. Of course, it might not, this is just an example. And then the thing that I like that they do is they do give a narrative writer's checklist. So the students can kind of preview this. I encourage you to get your students to read that because it's a great refresher of how to go through the writing process. And then the extended response, this is the 7-point question. Of course, you'll notice this is the highest points for the writing. It is a higher DOK level, depth of knowledge level. The standards are listed. It gives the titles of the passages that will be read prior to writing the 7-point extended constructed response. And again, they are provided with a writing task and then the writer's checklist. Again, please encourage your children, your students who are taking this test, to not skim over this or skip over it, because it is a great reminder of what points to include in their 7-point response.
Let's talk about math. As you can see on the screen, you have your selected response. It says 42 items and students can earn 42 points, meaning that each item is worth 1 point. You have your technology enhanced items, which they're worth 2 points. So you can see the number of items is 8 here and the total points is 16. Then we have field tests. We want to assure parents that you notice that even though it says 5 field test items, there's 0 points. So the students can earn a total of 55. You see it's 55 out of 58 here. Again, we want to provide examples of what these questions look like. This is the example of a DOK level 1, the depth of knowledge 1 for a student in 4th grade. And you can see what this question look like. This is the technology enhanced question, which is worth 2 points. You can see the students have a diagram and they have to work through it. Ms. Cole, score report.
So this is an example of a student score report. So when you get these reports, once the milestones have been graded and we get all results back, parents are provided a report. And oftentimes you look at it and you're like, I don't know what all of this is. So we wanted to kind of look at this with you so that at least you will know, what you're looking at. And on the next slide, it's actually blown up. But of course, the achievement levels that we've talked about, you'll see the arrow, are listed and compared to school system and state. So when you look at the comparison to school system and state, it lets you know where your student is compared to other students in the school system and state. For students, Lexile information, and we'll go into depth with Lexile in the slides that are coming, but it lets you know the Lexile information, their Lexile range. This is very important. And where your student is reading, and we'll get into that, but pay close attention when you get that report back. There is a national percentile and a national percentile range. This is a comparison to a national sample of students. So it's where your student falls nationally. And then of course at the top, we have reading and vocabulary, writing and language. And then you'll be able to see where your student is. Dr. Said, if you can go to the next slide.
Well, I wanted to chime in right here, Ms. Cole, and just this is the screen that the parents want to take a picture of, because those great big orange boxes and the red arrows point to all the different areas that we're touching up on. So when they get these reports, they'll have something to refer back to help them navigate through this report.
And of course, you'll have access to this, presentation on the Canvas page. So if there's something that you like, oh, I missed that, you will be able to go back and review this. So on the next slide, what we've done is we've enlarged the top half and the bottom half so you can actually see when you look at performance for reading status. What it says, it kind of gives you a monitor on learning. So if you look at the reading and vocabulary and then the writing and language, it tells you for the extended writing argumentative essay, could be argumentative or narrative. It tells you how many points they received in each of those. And it's great information to have because they'll know what to do for the next year. If they were weak in idea development, then you'll know what to work with them on for the next year. One of the things that I do like for the Lexile information is it actually gives you suggested titles, because if the students read within their Lexile range, it prevents them from getting frustrated. They are on a level that they comprehend and a range of vocabulary that they also comprehend. So what is Lexile Framework? The Lexile Framework for Reading is an educational tool that links text complexity and readers' ability. Again, it goes with what they can read, and the vocabulary in the book does not go above their comprehension. So it prevents that frustration to where they just want to put the book down. And it's known as the Lexile Scale. A student receives a Lexile reader measure calculated from a reading test linked to the Lexile framework. In this case, it is the Georgia Milestones. Books and other texts also have a Lexile measure associated with them. This measure describes the book's reading, demand, and difficulty. Most of our libraries, and Dr. Said, you can probably speak with this, do have Lexile ranges in the front of their book or on the side of the book. So when the student's looking at a book of interest, then they know what's within their range.
They can also look it up in our system. We have a system where students can search for books. They can actually type their Lexile range within there, and it'll pull up all the books available to them, both paperback and ebooks.
Yes, thank you. The Georgia Department of Education works with Metametrics, and they are the developers of the Lexile system. Dr. Say, can you go back one, please? They developed the Lexile framework for reading. And the important thing to know is if you're thinking, well, how do they get their Lexile measure? The Lexile measure is based on the reading portion of the ELA test. So that's why it's very important to encourage your students to do their very best, because so much is gauged on that score. Lexile measures are a resource for parents and educators, and it's to help improve the focus on reading skills and literacy. And, you know, the thing about it, it's so important because Now literacy strands run in all content areas. It used to be when I was in school, you opened a math book, it was just numbers. There wasn't a lot of reading. When you look at math, science, social studies, and ELA, the majority is reading. So it's very important that we take this very seriously so the kids can comprehend and excel in all content areas. It's not just for ELA. The Lexile measure describes a student's reading ability and allows you to compare that ability with the difficulty of books and other texts. I know with my daughter, she would come home with these really thick books because she thought, well, it makes me look smart. But we had to explain, you have to start at your ability and work your way up. Now, when you look at the Lexile measures are always followed by a capital L. So if your child is a 650, it's going to say 650L, which means 650 Lexile. The Lexile scale spans reading ability and text difficulty from the youngest readers all the way up to now. You and I could get a Lexile level. And it's interesting because most adult books are written on a 5th grade level. So most of the books that we read are probably not within our Lexile. We're probably above that. The Lexile map shows Lexile measures ranging between approximately 200L and 17L. That's the range. So what happens if we have a student that does not have a measure? If they're too young, a Lexile measure below 0 will be coded as BR for beginning reader. The BR code replaces a negative sign and represents a value that is below 0. We don't want any student to look and see that they're a negative 10 Lexile. So if they're below the range, if they're below 200, they'll be coded as a BR. The link below, and you'll have it in the presentation and at the end, it gives you the Lexile parent resources so that you can look at it and have a better understanding of what Lexile is on your test. Again, the college and career ready, we have stretch Lexile bands. So if you look at the grade and what their band should be. So by the time they're a senior, a junior or senior, their stretch band should be 1185 to 1385. Well, how do we improve this? Like anything, if you want to improve stomach muscles or leg muscles, you exercise. So my suggestion is the more they read, that band will increase. It also helps with summer reading and things like that. It helps with stamina because, as you can see, the ELA portion of the test is very rigorous. There are many multiple choice. There is the responses. You have the extended response. So it's a very rigorous test for these students. But the Lexile ranges in the table help teachers and parents determine what text is appropriate for each grade level. We don't want a second grader coming with a book that has a range of 830 to 1010. So you just kind of gives you an idea of where they should be and what would be in their comfort zone. Dr.
And I just wanted to add in, Ms. Cole, your media specialist in every building, in every Newton County school also is there to assist your student when they're checking out books, to help them locate books that are appropriate for their grade level. Now, if you have a student that's in 2nd grade, but the student is reading on a 5th grade level, which is 830 to 1010, then they are allowed to check those books out as well. So we based it not necessarily, it's a 2nd grader, so they should stick with the 420 through 650. If that student demonstrate 925 to 1070, then they're allowed to check those books out. So just, you can check in with your media specialist.
Excellent point. Thank you, Dr. Sain.
So what can I do to help my child at home? Miss Cole already touched up on some of these things, but we're going to review them again. Don't give up and must always encourage them to do their best. Without failure, there could be no success. So have your students say, if they don't do well on something, just keep trying and practice make perfect. Be certain your child can get plenty of sleep, and as a healthy breakfast and lunch, it is very important that they are awake and they're attentive. Encourage your child to employ good study and test-taking skills, which we also work on in the classroom setting. These skills include following directions carefully, avoiding careless errors, and reviewing their work. Explain the purpose of the test. The assessment gives students the opportunity to show what they've learned in school. They also give teachers information that helps them plan lessons. Please remember, it takes a village, so we have to work together to get our students where they need to be. Again, be certain that your child is at school on time daily and be present daily. Rushing and worrying about being late could affect your child's performance on a test. Remember to ask your child about the testing at the end of each day. Have your student read, and write. There are a list of parent resources that are available to you. The GMS Assessment Guide for Parents. You will have these linked in the presentation. We have our GMS Assessment Guide, which is linked here again. So I'm repeating that so that you know that these resources are at your fingertips. Again, there will be a long list of resources for you to assist your child at home. We have study guides, scoring of the constructed responses so that you're familiar. We have the Georgia Experience online. You might want to have your student log in and sit next to them so that you can experience what they're experiencing, so that you can understand and, you know, put your foot in their shoes. We have the Georgia Milestone Assessment Guides, understanding the 2.0 achievement level descriptors that we just went over. And you also have GMS Assessment Guide for Parents.
Do you guys have any questions? I know that we've given you so much information in 30 minutes, but the resource page that Dr. Saeed was speaking of, any of those that you click on, the study guides are very helpful. They are very helpful because I would have my kids look at it just so they would not be in shock when the actual test day got here. And then how to understand how they score the constructive responses is very important. But we listed these on here because they're very helpful. But if you have any questions, please let us know.
All right, thank you, Dr. Saeed and Ms. Cole. We do have a few questions that I am going to read. The first question was, how can I find sample material, which we see that you have it listed on the presentation, and that will be made available today on the Canvas, the Parent Connect Canvas page. The next question that we had was, how can I pull up my students' scores from the past, their milestone scores, their previous milestone scores?
So I'm going to be honest with you, and I would say reach out to your schools. Your schools have the test scores for every student in the building. So you can get some help from a counselor in the building or an admin to help you with those if you can't locate them.
All right, those are the only two questions that we have in the chat box at this time. If there's anyone else, let's see up. Will a hot link be provided for parents to click and allow their child to practice? As far as
the Georgia Experience does that. That's one of the resources that we listed on that resource page. The Georgia Experience, they could go in, they could get familiar with the calculator, the highlighter, the platform of testing. That's one of the best resources that are out there for students. And parents, I just want to chime in here and remind you that these are things that we're working on our students with in the classroom daily. We just want you to be aware of these resources so that you can help at home as well. And so most of your students are familiar with these resources.
The study guides, it's not a hot link, but it will allow you and your student to look at these questions so that they are familiar. Because it's very important that they have the stamina, the writing stamina and the reading stamina to take this test, because it's long. It's long. I was an ELA teacher, and it is very rigorous. So that's why all the tips that Dr. Saeed gave you as far as getting to school on time, rest, because they will be exhausted when they get home.
All right, another question was, will there be a lot of homework during this time?
Well, teachers are always advised not to provide homework, but you have to reach out to each building. They usually send out home information during testing that will give parents information of what's happening during that testing period. We covered 3 different levels of school here: elementary, middle, and high. They're all different. So reach out to your school community and they will make sure that you have the information you need during testing time.
All right, I think those are all of the questions that we have in the chat box. Most of the questions are, will we have access to these resources and the PowerPoint presentation? We will definitely have that to you all. So thank you so much for all of the information. Oh, one more question. Will the VIP virtual self-paced students be tested the same as in person?
Yes, as we stated in the PowerPoint, the GMAS is administered on the computer. The details of when and where they're testing will be provided by the director of the VIP program to those parents.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I'd like to say, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to come and connect with us, because our students and our parents are the most important, along with our teachers. And we just greatly appreciate you taking the time to come and kind of see what's going on with the Georgia Milestones and sitting with us today. You are greatly appreciated.
We have 2 more questions to close out the session. The first one is, the students with an IEP, will that be addressed individually or should I reach out to the teacher?
So that's done because of confidentiality. We don't touch upon those on these type of presentation, but please reach out to your school. All accommodations are taken in consideration when building the testing schedule.
Right. And the last question, is the writing portion just a single day? How long do the students have for the writing portion?
So that one caught me off guard. The writing, it's not a whole day, it's a portion of the ELA test. And I don't want to give you the wrong timing, because again, we touched up on 3 different grade levels of school: elementary, middle, and high. They're all different for all 3. So again, we don't want to keep saying revert back to your building, but your building will provide you information, detailed information of that grade level span test.
Right. There's not a one size answer for that, because of the levels. Your EOGs and your EOCs differ. So yes, please reach out to your building and they'll be able to provide specific information for the grade level that your child is in.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Saeed and Ms. Cole, for this helpful information. We would like to thank everyone for attending our Parent Connect virtual series. We are placing the link to our Parent Connect Canvas page in the chat box one more time, just in case you missed it. And please, please, please join us next Friday at the same time. We're going to have our Title I Parent Engagement Department. They're going to bring us some great information about understanding how Title I works in your schools. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you have a great weekend and the rest of your day. Bye.